Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of A God Shift. I'm your host, Shayna Rattler. Thank you so much for being here today. But before we get started, I would love if you would do me a favor. So, wherever it is that you're listening to this episode, I just want you to take a screenshot. With that screenshot, I want you to post it on your social media, tag us here at A God Shift, and then I just want to hear your biggest aha moment or your biggest takeaway from this episode. And the reason why I ask y'all to do that is because I know that there's a lot of people out there that really want to uphold our values and they just don't know where to start. And so the more times that these episodes are shared, the more people that will be equipped with the tips and the tools and the strategies that we discuss here on the show. So I appreciate you for being willing to share. So my guest today is the president of Your American Flag Store, which is a great site. And he is also a I can't say this well if I don't say it slow. A cancel culture expert. And so I'm really excited to have this conversation today. And so I want to welcome to the show James Stocky.
Hi, Raina. Nice to meet you.
It's good to have you here. So we live in, we go through periods of time where what it is that we're experiencing gets referred to as different things. And we're in the middle of a lot of things right now in our society, but we're definitely in what is called a cancel culture. And so for the audience, James, I would love if you could start with number one, what is cancel culture? And how has it been affecting so many businesses, creators, and just people in general today?
Well, thanks for the question. Well, cancel culture, what it looks like today is, and currently it's kind of where the internet and different social media platforms have been weaponized to exclude some people from the marketplace or the modern day marketplace that is Facebook or Google or anything where uh, you really need to be active on it these days if you're going to be have a successful business. So
Yeah.
what platforms have done is just exclude certain people from that marketplace based on their values or maybe perhaps something they said or something as simple as something they just posted a certain meme that maybe they didn't even agree with, but an algorithm or something that that company has programmed into their platform to deny people access to it. And it can be done through actually the platform where they just will take your marketing away like they did with us. They can deplatform you, just completely strip you of your platform, which in some cases can take years, multiple years to actually build. Some people will take 5 to 10 years, or the last 5 to 10 years to build up a good following. And they just completely take that away from you and kind of leave you, with nothing. The last way they can do it is by debanking you. And what they do there is that generally it's not where they take a bank. Uh, oh goodness, let me turn this off. I apologize. I normally do that before we get on the air. So the last way they do it is by debanking, and they don't normally take away from your actual bank per se. Like if you have a Bank of America or a Wells Fargo, what they'll do is they'll block access from your payment gateway, which every website will have a payment processor, and that
Uh-huh.
processor needs a gateway to actually process the money from one account to the other. And what they'll do is they'll just block that from happening to where you basically can't make sales because you don't have any way to transfer money from a customer or consumer's credit card over to your bank account to facilitate the purchase. So those are the three ways that they generally will cancel you in the cancel culture. But there are other ways that they figure out to do. They can do all kinds of things really. One circumstance that we had or we experienced was that we were originally canceled by our marketing was taken away by Facebook, and our website that we made with Shopify, we built the website on Shopify and then hosted it, and Shopify took away our best-selling products, Facebook took away our advertising. But the way that they also can do it is that they not just take away just your marketing, but they'll take away your complete reach. And people have heard of terms like shadow banning and that kind of
Mhm.
thing, to where you're still active. They haven't deplatformed you and taken your platform away, but they've just limited you to a point to where it's completely ineffective.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of ways they can do it. Another one is they can hold on to a domain name, and then just shut down your website. And if people have gotten to know youramericanflagstore.com, which is ours, if out of the blue one day the registrar who's holding that, it just says, "Now we're not going to let you renew it," you have to come up with a new name that nobody knows, and all your marketing is going to that. So there's all kinds of tools that these companies have at their disposal to really ruin a small business. Small businesses can't afford to hire a tech guy to come on and root through your business and figure out what's going on and help you with it. I mean, these guys, they're experts, and they're not cheap. So a small business just can't hire some guy for, say, $100 to $150 an hour to go through their entire social media and their website and their payment gateways to find out all the ways that they're vulnerable. So one of the things that we've tried to do is everything that we've learned in our 3 years of dealing with cancel culture since we've been canceled is to document all of those
But
ways that
Ja
they've
James,
attacked us.
before you go there, I wanna unpack this a little more, and at the
Sure.
end of the episode, we're gonna talk about what people can do. Because I think the burning question is, why are they doing this?
Well, I mean, they'll never tell us, but I suspect here's where I'm guessing, and I think I have a pretty good guess based on the products they removed from our social media and our website. Those products are our Christian flags, any flag that has either Bible verses, or we paint a cross on it, or we even have one flag that we cut out a cross out of the flag, put a light behind the flag so that a beautiful white light shines through the cross. That's one you can tell by the products. Maybe if you have a Second Amendment product, or something regarding free speech, all of those products they removed from our website, and Meta said we weren't allowed to advertise. And of course, along with those, also we had a Trump flag that was also canceled. So when you put those items that were canceled, where we were told, "Hey, you can't sell this on our platform," you get a really good idea of what the motivations are. Some other flags were our military flags, our first responder flags, of course, our Christian flags, anything with free speech in the Second Amendment. So if you take those into a kind of a group, and you kind of analyze who is into all of those things collectively, it's
Yeah,
going to be generally Christian conservatives.
that's
So
right.
that's how they will kind of hone in on their target and cancel them.
And that's been my experience as well. So, in the fall of, let's see, we're in 2024 now. So, in the fall of 2022, I lost my Facebook page. And Facebook says, I had a guy that was managing my Facebook ads, and he was like, "You don't have a Facebook page called A God Shift." And I was like, "Oh, I very well do." There's like thousands and thousands of followers there. And so, when you're dealing with Facebook or Google, it's impossible to try to get a person to even respond to an email. And so, since my ads guy was accustomed to dealing with some of the people at Facebook, he was like, "Well, I've got some contacts over there. I will contact them." Facebook told him that they had no way of recovering my account. And I thought, now, wait a minute. You're Facebook. It's a Facebook account. And what you want me to believe is that you don't have the ability to restore my account that's on your platform. And, essentially, because we needed to move forward, we ended up just creating a new page, which for some people, they're like, yeah, good solution. Well, unfortunately for me at the time, my literary agent was shopping around my book to potential publishing houses. And one of the things that you have in the proposal is to show how wide your reach is.
Yeah.
And so it didn't look like I was a person of integrity when I tell them how many thousands of people that I have on my Facebook page. And then they go to my Facebook page and there might be 25 because that's the number of people that I've been able to transfer over to the new one. And then I'm part of a Christian podcast network, and I have had many of my fellow podcasters who have had their Christian pages taken down. They've had their Christian podcast shut down. Just recently, over the weekend, my church is starting a new location, and every time they tried to advertise the new location, they got shadow banned. And so I'm only saying that to co sign what you're saying, in that, in my experience, almost every single person or organization that has been canceled, it has been because they have conservative views or they have Christian views. I'm not saying that no one else has ever been canceled, but what I am saying is that I'm not aware of it. And it doesn't sound like, I mean, do you know anyone that has been canceled that did not have some level of association with something Christian or something conservative?
No, I don't. I've never even heard of it. I mean, I've have, I mean, I talk to friends, and I'm sure you do too, that are from the other side of the aisle.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. In fact, a lot of my friends that are not that are not like-minded,
Yeah.
when this first happened to us 3 years ago, they were like, "Oh, come on, that's not happening. That's not real." And 3 years into it, they all have kind of had that moment where they're like, "Well, maybe it is happening." But
Yeah.
it took a long and one thing I tell business owners when they call me and ask me, what I did to avoid being canceled going forward, was I said the first thing that you can do is stop believing that it's not going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Everybody will say, it's not real unless it happened, it's not real unless it really happens to you. But what that is inevitably going to lead is that one, it is true that it probably won't happen to you if you never get any traction. If nobody's seeing your show, or nobody's seeing your products, or nobody's seeing your business, why would they cancel you?
Yeah.
But as
You're
soon
not a
as you
threat.
get traction, as soon as like your ad buys start really paying off, and people are hearing you and people are seeing you, and you have quote unquote influence, that's when they're going to hit you. And they do that by design. It absolutely is by design that they're going to wait for you to get. I mean, look at it like this. For a business to really make it and become somewhat mainstream, it's kind of like playing a professional sport. 1 to maybe 3% of the people out there are going to be able to make it to the NFL or the
Yeah.
NBA or something like that. And when a small business finally gets really good traction to where they're getting, maybe a viral video or a couple of viral videos, that's literally like making it into the NFL.
Wow.
So what I try to equate it to is that, look at it like this. What are the chances of a kid, wanting to play a professional sport, working his whole life, and he makes it? And as soon as you get signed into the NFL, they say, no, start over again. Let's see if you can do that twice. It's literally asking lightning to strike in the same place twice. And they know that. So they wait till you get traction. They wait for you to get that success. Then they pull the rug out from underneath you, knowing that the chances of you making it once are pretty dang slim. The chances of you making it twice are practically impossible. So it's part of their strategy. That's been my experience. Luckily, and I'm sure you have found ways around. You just the simple truth is that you just don't. You try to deal with these companies as little as possible. I'm not
Yeah.
saying don't be on Facebook. One of the other things that I've tried to tell people is let's not be them. Let's not play this stupid game. Let's just not. But also, let's not rely on these people or these platforms to build our businesses. There's plenty of new platforms and ways to make your business successful in the parallel economy, which I'm sure that you're aware of what's going on there. And if you build your foundation there, you're never going to be canceled. And then at that point, you can start, playing in these other very lucrative places like Facebook. The terrible thing about Facebook is that they really do have a great advertising platform.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they've weaponized it, and that's what makes it a terrible thing. And the tragedy of Facebook is that they have something that can really, really help the economy and really help the small mom and pop entrepreneurs. But you've got to say what they want you to say. You got to believe what they want you to believe, and you got to toe their line. Otherwise, they will, as soon as you get canceled, they will cancel you. They'll pull that rug out from underneath you.
And I think the thing that is the most unfortunate is that for some platforms, it's just people sharing their opinion. If they get canceled, it probably doesn't have any major effect on their lives. But like yourself and so many other people, they're creating a situation where they're taking away your ability to take care of your family. Like your business is how you survive and how you take care of your family. And because they don't agree with what it is that you sell or whatever it is that you say, they have the privileged mindset to think that it's okay for them to take away your livelihood because they don't agree with what it is that you say and what it is that you sell. And it just goes to show how selfish they are and how this world is willing to go to any length to push their own agendas.
Oh, it is. And you made a great point there. And at that point you made really hits home with us. At one point in our experience, we had been canceled. Nobody was touching us. We were going to lose everything. We were lucky enough to actually our story got picked up by Newsmax.
Mhm.
We got on TV. Everything seemed to be going okay, or going to get back onto the path of being okay. But then that's when we got debanked. PayPal took all the money that we had prior and currently and froze it during that time. And when I testified in February to the Tennessee legislature, I talked very little about my personal experience. And the point that I wanted to drive home was this one: that when they do this to a small family business, it is an attack on that family. The
Yeah.
stress that my wife and I were under during that time was complete. It didn't even have to happen. In fact, it should have been the opposite. We were thriving when we were canceled. So it should have been one of the best times of our life. It turned out to be one of the most stressful times of our life. So stressful that at times my wife was, we had plenty of money, but we didn't have access to the money because PayPal said, "Oh, you can't touch the money. We're freezing your account for 6 months. And in 6 months, we'll let you know if we will let you have your money back." During that time, my wife is making lunches for our kids to go to school and breakfast before they go to school. And she's having to divvy up food to where our kids are literally going to school hungry. They're coming home saying, "Mommy, when are you going to go grocery shopping?" My wife is then looking at me going, what are we doing to fix this?" And I'm
Yeah.
sitting there going,
I
"I'm
don't
doing
know.
everything I can."
Yeah.
That creates a lot of stress in a marriage and a home. So what I really tried to drive home in my testimony was that let's just most people know the simple facts that when you start a business, in 7 years, 70% of those startups are going to fail. They're going to go out of business. So it's already pretty dang hard. If these social media platforms and other banking platforms put their thumb on the scale and make it that much harder, it brings up a new statistic that most people don't know, that of those 70% of the businesses that fail will naturally fail in the best of circumstances will fail when they what most people don't know is that after they've been canceled and the stress that happens with all the financial stress and everything, that almost 60% of those family owned businesses end up in divorce, which
Wow.
basically leaves the children in a in a bad situation. They mom and dad are fighting. They who wants to stay with who, and all of these things that children should never have to deal with. Now they're being thrusted into this environment where they're having to deal with very adult situations, and it's all brought on by a cancel culture war against conservative Christian values.
Yeah.
So it's not, I don't want people to think of it as, a lot of people think that if you own a business, you're rich. And that's the complete opposite. Most small businesses like ours, man, we're paycheck to paycheck, just like everybody else, just struggling to make it. So when you take any opportunity that we have to make our business work better, um, it's devastating.
Yeah.
So it really is a war not on the American entrepreneur only, but also it's a war on the American family.
Yeah. And it affects the economy, and it's just a triple effect, a ripple effect that people are just, I don't even think they, it's not that they don't think about it, they don't care. And so, James, I want us to, as we begin to come to the end, I want us to share some specific things that we can do to either fight back, prevent this from happening, or what do we do if it happens?
Well, I think that probably one of the key things that people could do is find companies and services that are like-minded. You don't have to rely on a Facebook. You don't have to rely on a Shopify or a PayPal. The last 3 years that their cancel culture wars really ramped up has created a whole new economy. All these businesses seeing, hey, look, all these conservative Christian businesses are being canceled. 3 years ago, if that happened, you were pretty much dead. There was
Right.
just no place for you to go. In the last 3 years, with the parallel economy, a lot of business owners have said, hey, look, let's take gun stores, for example. That's one that's kind of in the news a lot, is that all the payment processors started saying, hey, we're not going to process a payment if it's for a gun. Well, some entrepreneurs out there said, well, let's start a payment processing company that just goes after sales and that kind of thing, or knife sales, or
Right.
whatever else that they hate. So what you can do is you can go and get involved in the parallel economy. The best place that people can do that is Public Square. Public Square is a marketplace for people with conservative Christian values. And Public Square actually vets all the companies in their marketplace, so that you're dealing with people who share your values. So you can, with every single purchase, you can actually vote. You can support a business that actually shares your values. And in doing so, you're going to actually be promoting your values by helping this company stand up, stand tall, and be a proud business owner, and loud and proud about their values, which our values are simple. We love God, we love our country, and we love our fellow patriots. And we want to provide services for them. So these are the businesses that you really do want to support. There's all kinds of ways that people can avoid being canceled, but one of the best ways to do it is to get involved in communities and networks that share your values. And Public Square, I have found, is the biggest, and they literally are the tip of the spear in this cancel culture war.
I agree. One of the things that I also want to point out that people have to think about protecting is their data. And
Mhm.
I don't mean data like your social security number and things of that nature, but many of us have an email database. And, the livelihood and backbone of our business is the ability to be able to communicate with our customers, our community. And every year, I typically go to the National Religious Broadcasters Association, the big convention that they have every year.
Yeah.
And last year, Franklin Graham was the keynote speaker. He opened up and he talked about the importance of moving your money somewhere safe. And he talked about your data. He said, what happens if the customer relationship management, or the CRM, the platform that you're using that houses your customer database, what if they decide that they want to cancel you because they don't like what it is that you're saying? Many of us would have a difficult time continuing to operate our businesses if we can't communicate with our database. And what he recommended that you do is that at least once a month, if not more frequently, that you download your list to your computer, so that if your CRM or whoever you're with decides to cancel your account, then you still have the ability to communicate, with your customer base or with your community base. Because like you said, it's one, we may logically think about our websites or social media platforms, but when he said that, although I myself have a list that I communicate with, and even going back to when I'm shopping publishers and things of that nature, that's one of the things that they want to know. I thought to myself, oh shucks, what if I wake up one day and they don't like the fact that my newsletter is about Christian and conservative things and they shut me down? I don't want to start that all over. It was one thing to start over my Facebook page, but I definitely don't want to start over, with my database. And so I would add Download, have someone on your team set an alert in their calendar, do something so that at least once a month that you are downloading your database to your own devices so that you have access to that, because it could be very, very detrimental.
That's great advice. Absolutely great advice.
Well, James, I know that you are a wealth of information. You said there's a lot of other places that we can do business. There's other things that we can do to kind of prevent this from happening, or there may even be people that are like, listen, this has happened to me and I've got to figure out what to do. And
Mhm.
so how can our listeners follow you on social media?
Well, we're pretty much on all social medias. We're either at Your American Flag Store or we're at Handmade in USA, and that
Okay.
goes across all the platforms out there. If you look at one of those two, Handmade in USA or Your American Flag Store, you'll find us.
Okay, perfect. And if someone wants to take things further with you, where would you like to send them?
Well, you can always go to youramericanflagstore.com. That's where we have about 150 different flags displayed. And we've got all kinds of new products that we've launched this year that people can get. The simple things like just posters and t-shirts and that kind of stuff. All of our Christian-based t-shirts that I wear daily, those are all on our website too.
Awesome. Well, you guys go there, flood your timeline with this information, share this episode with every business owner, every creator that you know that could potentially be canceled, and go buy some stuff. Like, let's make the enemy mad, and let's make sure that businesses like his are so stinking successful that we don't ever have to rely on these other sources again. So, James, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your nuggets on this very important topic. I know that it's going to be a hit. Everyone, again, please share this episode, and I pray that you will consider going back and listening to previous and future episodes as well. Everyone, have a good day. Bye bye.